Magandang hapon sa inyo lahat. Welcome to MPL Recall, the weekly show wherein we look back at the previous weekend's action only here on Covenry, brought to you by your MPL talents. Siyempre, kasama natin ngayong hapon na ito, si TDZ, si Renmar the Reptar, and of course, Nomad, and I am your host. My name is Leo, and later on we'll be joined by everyone's favorite real talking analyst, Midnight. Boys, kumusta naman kayo? By the way, we are all in our own respective homes dahil ang original na plano ay gawin itong live in-studio show. But due to the GCQ, we all need to follow the rules. We need to be safe, and we need to isolate for now, and of course, make the most of the time from the studio. So ayan, online muna ang MPL Recall Episode 1. TDZ, man, kumusta? How was your comeback into the MPL this weekend?
Sobrang saya, tol. Medyo tensyonado ako nung una, pero nung nakakapaka pa ako nung nakikita ko yung mga teams na ginagawa yung mga things nila, yung mga action and preparation nila, nagkaroon ako ng confidence all throughout. Sobrang excited ako. Siyempre, dito rin para sa show na ito, MPL Recall.
Nice. Well, we're looking forward to more of you. And of course, today, we'll discuss what exactly went down, especially mga games na nakast mo. No? I think you started off with Manjin. So, we'll see your perspective on that. Reptar, my guy, you are also a returning face in the MPL. What was week 1 for you? How was it for you?
Well, it was fun. Hopefully you can hear me right now. Medyo
Yes.
connection ko. But yeah, no fun. Unforgettable start to the season. Ang init ng mga laban na makita natin. So yeah, week 2, moving forward, excited because when we talk about it later, I think we have some really awesome matchups slated for week 2. Parang pinapag-usapan natin kanina, lahat ng laban for week 2, maganda. It's must-watch matches. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, before we look forward, we're gonna have to look back, alright? Kaya may rason kung bakit parang maganda yung week 2 eh. Alam nyo naman guys, if you wanna know what's gonna be going down this Friday up until Saturday and Sunday, check out the MPL Philippines page. But last but not least, kumustahin natin si Nomad. My guy, how are you? Also another returning face, another comeback eminent. Kumusta ang iyong bagong salta muli sa MPL?
To be honest, I was actually real nervous kasi ang tagal ko na wala sa MPL, pero working with the same faces like you guys made me feel at home. And it was the same MPL that I'm used to. High levels of action, high levels of intensity, especially sa first couple of matches na meron tayo for the first week.
Well, we'll be talking more about that when we come back. Just a quick refresher, guys. Ang aabangan natin, ang mapapanood natin dito sa MPL Recall ay ang pag-discuss natin ng Day 1. Again, dyan naglaro ang Work Osterforce. Finally, they're coming of age. Ang una nilang salta sa MPL na winelcome naman sila ng Mpl Ph. As well, we'll be talking about Day 2, wherein we saw LPE also make a statement. And then day number 3, dyan natin makikita, hate to say it, but the fall of the world champions. All that and more coming right here, live via MPL Recall. Sa mga nanonood via Facebook, don't forget to share the stream. Kita namin kayo. Please share. And of course, comment down below mga tanong ninyo and your thoughts about day 1, 2, and 3 of week 1 of MPL Philippines. We are going to be taking a quick break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching MPL Recall. Welcome back to MPL Recall. Let's go ahead and jump into our first topic of the day. Balikan natin ang day 1. I almost forgot that MPL started ang nangyari ay syempre na-sweep ng execration. We're gonna get into that in just a bit. And of course, the second series of the day, Aura PH versus Work Oster Force. Yan ang unang araw ng MPL Philippines Season 7. And of course, my name is Leo. Nagbabalik kasama natin si Nomad, TDZ, and Reptar. And first off, I gotta ask you guys, ano ang inyong mga impressions? Ano yung inyong unang naisip nung nakita ninyong 2-1 Aura Work and then 2-0 Execration Omega? You guys can react to any right now, like kung ano yung favorite nyo or whatever your thoughts are. Let's start with you, Reptar.
Well, yeah, it was a surprising start for the season, pero maganda in the sense that we really got to see some very interesting moves, some interesting drafts. Starting to see the creativity of the team shine, and then especially with Omega versus Execration, realization para sa atin lahat na Execration mainit. For the longest time sinasabi natin, in theory, on paper, ang ganda ng Execration. After months of battling it out, of course, in Juicy Legends, now here in the MP, look really, really ready. Pero para sa Omega naman, the other way around, Omega did not look ready, or it's not the same Omega as we saw last season. Actually, like I said before about Omega, Omega is the team that looks the most similar but yet the most different. Kasi dun, parehas pa rin yung mga pangalan pero iba na yung galaw.
Yep, I agree. A little scary to think of what's happening with Omega. Nomad, ikaw, man, let's address the elephant in the room. Sa tingin mo ba talaga, like, that morning, sa tingin mo ba makakalaro si The King knowing what happened the night before?
Honestly, speaking from my medical experience, I don't think that during that time I didn't think na makakalaro si KLVJ, considering the fact na binabagsakan siya ng kama. More than likely kinover niya yung mukha niya para ma-save yung sarili niya. Hindi ko ini-expect na maglalaro siya. Fortunately, wala naman damage sa kamay, which is the most important part sa isang pro player. Pero that was surprising na even despite na may condition pa siya, may CT scan pa siya na dapat gawin nung araw na yun, he still managed to play. Well, not that day, pero may CT scan pa siya kailangan gawin to check for any further damage to the head. Pero I was surprised na yung determination and perseverance ni KLVJ was really there. The hunger to win his crown back as the king is still there.
Yeah. Baka 2-time MPL champion yan. Baka lang, di ba? Baka nakalimutan natin. And again, for those who don't know, the night before day 1 of MPL Philippines, nabagsakan ng double-decker bed si KLVJ. I mean, not both bunks. I mean, siya yung nasa ilalim, tapos nabagsakan siya nung nasa taas. It was a freak accident. Again, our prayers go out to his quick recovery, pero I'm not sure if he needs it anyways. Like, konting pahinga lang, you know, a few checkups, and again, a CT scan here and there, and again, a 2-0 will tell you everything you need to know about how he is right now in the MPL. TDZ, ikaw, man. Ngayon na pinag-usapan natin yung Omega Execration. Your thoughts?
So, Omega Execration, unang-una, akala ko talaga, well, games will look forward sa Omega because of their recent performance. Galing silang M2. But with Execration, nakita natin yung performance nila from off-season tournaments such as Juicy Legends, yung pinapoint out nga kanina ni Renmar. So, ang ganda talaga ng performance nila. It was unexpected. Performance-wise, nakikita natin yung caliber ng Execration kung gaano sila ka-ready ngayon. Yung practice nila, nakikita natin all throughout. The way they drafted, how they executed their draft. Ang tingin ko lang din sa Omega on that side, tingin ko nandun pa yung biglaan because of Daedalus nung nawala si Daedalus sa roster ng Omega. I think there's a lot of adjustments na pwedeng ibigay or na hindi pa gaano na-adapt dito ng current coach, which is si Wynap currently. So there's still a lot of things that need to be adjusted, especially sa drafting. Medyo risky yung first game nila. They went for 4 mages tapos isang Yuzong. So tingin ko, it's a good starter. Maganda yung ina-expect ko nung gusto makita na mag-work ito, pero against Execration, I think that they need to adjust more of their drafting for Omega side.
Yeah, this is not the only time they'll meet. They are in the same group or bracket. So may isa pa, may rematch pa to ang Omega
Yeah.
versus X. So we'll see that happen and unfold in the next weeks in this season of the MPL. Nabanggit mo na nga, TDZ, na nawala si Coach Dale at si Coach Why Not, aka Otit na ngayon ang head coach ng Omega. And some might say, again, not to take anything away from Why Not, he's a great coach, a great player in his own right, but you can't deny the technical prowess of one Coach Dale Dalus. Alright? So, that's hot topic number 1. Simulan na natin to. There is an absence of technicality. Again, the fact na nag-draft sila ng 4 mages and a Yuzhong, that sounds very dangerous. Again, coming out of my mouth, parang, I don't think so, man. Ano lang yan, Athena Shield lang sagot dyan, di ba? Oracle, okay na ako. TDZ, your thoughts, you're the one who opened it up. Do you think this is gonna bite them in the ass like weeks down the line? Or sa tingin mo kaya pa nilang ayusin to? This lack of technicalities?
Well, nagigets ko kasi yung concept dito ni Tony, ni Coach Wynat, na kailangan nilang i-aim yung early game execution. Well, alam naman natin na ang execution, nakilala sila more on late game prowess. More than 18 minutes, taga nakukuha nila kahit gaano pa kalakas yung kalaban because of the patience from execution. So I think what they're trying to do on the coach's mind is to end the game as early as possible. I think that's the reason why apat na mages sila. Kaso unfortunately, ang isa sa mga napansin ko, yung value dun hindi gaano nag-work out because of marami siyang deaths, marami siyang pick off. So kuha nila yung early game, but slowly, hindi sila nakakuha ng mga objectives eh. It should work kapag laging nag-group up sila kaagad, going for the 5-man setup. But the way how execution works it out, talagang spread out sila. Hindi nila hinahayaan na magkaroon ng opportunity. Hinahayaan lang nila.
All right, so we are gonna wait for TDZ to come back around and finish his explanation. We'll go to you, Nomad. Sa tingin mo ba maayos pa to ng Omega? Do you think when they eventually get a rematch with Execration, they'll cover up their voids or yung lack of technicality nila dito from the first week? Sa tingin mo kaya pa ba? Is it too late? I mean, week 1, I don't think it's too late. How about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be the same case kasi it's not the first week is not always a sign of how their performance is going moving forward in the entire tournament. Now, considering the fact that Wynot has already had his experience in the MPL when he was back in playing for Geek Fam, I think alongside Jesse Vash, she was also one of the drafters for them, and they had very decent drafts in their time during Geek Fam. But the thing is, they're still trying to adjust themselves in the current meta that we have right now. The 4 mages picked, sure, it may work to an extent, pero the picks weren't as optimal. And I guess coming into week number 2, that may be the big change that they may have, especially considering the fact that their first match of the next week is against NXP. So, ang dami talaga adjustments pwedeng gawin dito.
Yeah, medyo delix yun. Reptar, Nomad brought up a very important fact na nung nasa Geek Fam pa, Season 4, si Why Not, when he was more of a player, sila ang isa sa mga parang pioneer ng Baliwan draft. If you remember, man, do you remember that? Yung arrival play nila, yung parang 3-4 na arrival?
Oh yeah, I remember,
So
but
it's not a lack of
that was such
creativity.
Yeah, the creativity is there, but I think outside of drafting as well, other than the fact that, of course, kilala natin before si Dale about as a drafting coach. Of course, may din siya, may sabi din siya sa technical aspects ng players in-game. Now, TDZ and Nomad, you guys focus a lot about dun sa drafting ng Omega, pero last night, pinanood ko ulit yung laban nila against Execration. There's something about Omega right now that parang they're a team stuck in time eh. Kasi yung parang pinapanood ko ngayon ang Omega. Of course, nakita natin si Heath, he's bringing in Matilda, of course. So, in terms of getting in new heroes into the meta, trying to change that, andun pa rin. But in terms of how they move in game, they look like the team that they were a few months ago. Which is a good thing and a bad thing, because if you look back at the matches of Omega and Execration, Omega was always in control for like the first 8 to 10 minutes of the match. But then a team fight would happen for an objective. I think for both matches, if I'm not mistaken, it was both a fight for the Lord, or maybe in game 1 it was a fight for the Turtle. Dahil medyo, I don't know if it's kulang sa practice ng Omega, or they're just, trying to find another chemistry again for this meta. They were always beat by the fact that Execration in objective team fights suddenly amped up the aggression, then lagi lang nila hinanap si Hajizi and si Hayes. And Omega was always out of position for that. Na biglang, tatlo o apat, tatalon sa likod. Hanapin si Hajizi, hanapin si Hayes. The moment one of them goes down, talo na sila sa team fight. Go back to watching Omega vs. Execration Game 1 and Game 2. That was always the story. From those moments na natalo ang Omega in a big team fight, they completely lost control. They couldn't find a way to get back. Pero andun pa rin yung Omega na they know how to handle the minion waves, especially in the mid. They know how to build the 3K to 4K gold lead by the time the Lord spawns. But there's something about how they're handling team fights that just doesn't feel like Omega.
So, you're saying it's both a good thing and a bad thing na hindi talaga sila nagbago ng lineup. Siyempre, nawala si Dale pero nandiyan pa rin si Why Not. It feels like, I hate to put it this way, like I'm saying this in just the best way possible to like compress the thoughts. Ang dami nating nasabi from PDZ, Nomad, and Reptar. Do you guys agree when I say it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks? Diba? Parang ganun eh. Diba?
In my opinion, that is a tough question, because there are some cases where you can teach an old dog new tricks, especially if it's
hard. It's just hard.
Or pwedeng nasanay sa kay Dale, kung pa nandun pa sila sa adjustment space. Kasi alam naman natin, MLBB exchange lagi siya ng patch notes, meron mga meta heroes na bigla lumalabas. Especially itong MPL Season 7, first week lagi ng MPL, doon natin nakikita kung ano yung meta kung ano yung mga heroes, kung paano mag-evolve yung meta. So, kaya tingin ko at some point, meron talagang punto na it's really difficult to teach yung pag-old dog mo, kumbaga, parang...
It seems like they're playing catch-up. So, totoo lang, it feels like they're playing catch-up. Yung idea nila na 4 mages meta, na parang ibabaon mo yung kalaban in the first 10 minutes and hopefully end before they even catch up. It feels like a sidestep lang or a half step forward. I don't know. It feels like Execration just got it all figured out. But that's our take on Omega versus Execration. Again, the king and the rest of the gang from Etivac sweeping our MPL Season 6 Grand Finalists. Let's move on to the second series of the day. And we're going to have to compress this 3-game series, guys. Work Osterforce versus Aura PH. The 2-time Mpl Ph champions versus the hot upstarts who went undefeated in their qualifiers, and a lot of people will swear, as in legit, ang dami mong tatanungin, sinong top 4 mo? Malamang sa malamang, nandun ang Work Osterforce. Na welcome sila, guys. Na welcome ang Work Osterforce. Sabi ng Aura PH, welcome sa MPL. Kami nga pala ang nagkampiyon dito nung season 4 and 5. How you doing? All right. I want to know what your thoughts are, because I have some thoughts as well. I did not cast the game, so I was able to watch it. So let's start with Reptar. What do you think of this series, 3-game series?
Well, for Work Osterforce, ito yung perfect introduction para sa kanila na kung hindi pa nila naramdaman yung moment na, ay, nasa MPL na tayo guys, this is the perfect introduction for them. Dahil nga nakalaban na lang isang team na with the introduction of Dale Delus into the coaching staff has an even crazier and more unpredictable draft strategy. Not unpredictable to the levels of Coach Bonchan, but it will really test how well you are, how good you are at drafting, and how flexible your picks are. And that's one of the things we were saying about Work Osterforce. They make to the qualifiers with, of course, their pure absolute technical skill, but their reliance kasi sa mga picks na malakas sila, they always made sure that most of them always had their comfort picks. But now that they're in the MPL, we really need to see them branch out more. We saw them do that a little bit in Work Osterforce, pero andun pa rin yung process ng, okay, we're still not completely used to these new things we're trying to include, but eventually I feel like Work Osterforce is going to be that team na give it a few more weeks, they'll eventually find their role.
Yeah, I agree. Nomad, your thoughts on Work Osterforce versus Aura PH?
Not gonna lie, I thought they had us in the first half because I really thought that Aura was going to fall down during their
2-0,
first game.
Almost.
Oh, it was almost a 2-0, but the comeback victory from Aura PH was definitely a statement na, hey, we want our third championship. Don't stop us there. They can't stop us, so to speak. Pero it's just like what Reptar said, it is a good start for Work Osterforce kasi it's their adjustment period. During their qualifiers, it was a flawless run for them. This time around, they're up against the best of the Philippines, and if anything, going up against Aura PH in the first match that they ever had can finally wake them up and adjust accordingly to the meta that we have in the season as well as the other teams.
Yep. To be fair, ito nga talaga parang yung ideal and most realistic welcome to a team like Work Osterforce. If they won this 2-0, parang mas lalong dadami yung tanong natin eh. Diba? But now that it's a 2-1 with Aura PH, it seems like more in reality. TDZ, I have a question to ask you, and I hate to be so specific, no, kasi medyo open-ended yung kay Reptar tsaka kay Nomad. But I want to focus on the new TZ brothers, okay? Medyo pinsan mo yata to eh. TDZ, tapos si RTZ, at saka si 3MRTZ. RTZ is someone you might know from the qualifiers, guys, na si Michael Jordan. Okay? So, si Michael Jordan, yung mid-player ng Work Osterforce, siya na ngayon si RTZ. And then si 3MRTZ, ang kanilang off-laner or turtle laner. TDZ, your thoughts on these two hot, very young players? Kasi parang nung qualifiers, puro si Chu eh. Puro si Chu. Pero this time around, a lot of people are saying, ito abangan ninyo, si MR tsaka si RTZ.
Tol, tingin ko honestly kailangan ko ng palitan, kailangan taga natin palitan yung pangalan natin na TZ para talaga magkaroon ng impact na ganun kalakas eh. Kumbaga, lahat ng TZ karamihan, lahat ng TZ, Kyle TZ, Club TZ, lahat malulupit. Pero ang take ko dito unang-una kay 3MRTZ, ang galing niya mag-show. The way he builds up his show, the way he moves around the map, laging on point. Pati yung bilis ng daliri niya by catching up people. Tingin ko isa rin yun sa malaking factor kung bakit nanalo ang Work Osterforce Game 1 against Aura. Sa sobrang bilis na execution nila, hindi nakahabol yung Aura PH. Pero nung pag-abot ng Game 2 and Game 3, doon may kita yung pagiging veterano ng Aura PH, kung gaano sila kabilis mag-adapt sa situation, kung gaano kabilis malaman kung ano yung play style, kung ano yung impact ng Work Osterforce. But going back to the topic, 3MRTZ, one of the show players na kailangan natin tignan, especially sa team ng Work Osterforce. Ang laki ng impact na binibigyan niya for this team, and also when it comes to rotation, really on point.
Yeah. And of course, RTZ, arguably the most stable of all of them. I think kailangan din siyang abangan. But now, you mentioned their Game 2 and 3 comeback. We talked about how Aura PH played the series, not just the game each. And here's what made me really think na Aura PH really showed respect to Work Osterforce. And they both walked away stronger teams. They both walked away learning something. No? Raflesia brought out the Grok. And if Aura PH really just took this game or series seriously, or did not take it seriously, hindi sila mapipilitan maglabas ng parang bago eh. Diba sa totoo lang, this Grok, it was pretty new in the metagame. We all thought Grok was dead. The biggest tanks for the past, 3 to 4 months were Sylvana, Johed, mas uso pa nga si Khalid, si Baksha. But yeah, right? Yeah, Cho tank. But now bringing back an old classic in Grok, it really brought life to the series. Your thoughts, guys, on this draft. Again, it could have been Dale's idea, could have been Arcadia, pero yung linaro talaga ni Raflesia na parang Mama Grak. How did this factor into this series and their growth? Let's start with you, Reptar.
Well, with the Grok pick, I had to stop myself nung sa English cast na sobrang ako may excite. I really wanted to nerd out at that moment. I mean, na-level ko pa rin because, yeah, you mentioned something about the respect and Mpl Ph, they experimented. But it was a very calculated experiment. Kasi alam natin, before nung meta pa si Grok, that's one of the comfort picks of Raflesia. So hindi naman sa sinusubukan ni Raflesia ang bagong hero na hindi pa niya nagamit before. Nagamit niya. In-adjust lang niya yung playstyle niya. And of course, high and dry means that in a way, yung habol mo sa kanya para siyang pag mag-heal ako din, kalaban mo yung Claude eh. Except that this time you're a Grok and whoever you find in the jungle, mas masakit yung damage mo with the power of nature. You're gonna disrupt them. Just isang full swing, they're gonna think twice about going after you. And I really love that Grok pick because, again, it was an experiment but such a calculated experiment na hindi mo masasabi cheese. It's a viable pick for any team na gusto nila subukan if they want to go for a Grok high and dry. Mold it off of how Raflesia played it.
Yeah, don't sleep on Grok. I mean, it's not the only time we saw Grok this weekend. More on that later. Nomad, thoughts on Grok? I mean, if people watched your stream, especially from back then, alam nilang nag-Grok ka din. So, was this something that made you happy that, oh, Grok's back?
No, it's not necessarily Grok per se, pero the old school tanks na lagi natin lalaro dati is back right now. I'm not sure. I mean, we saw Franco a little bit, pero we'll touch on that later on. Pero with the Grok being picked up and the selection of the high and dry really attest to how Raflesia plays. Kasi even the championship Kufra back in season 4, Raflesia was pretty much just looking for any solo individuals all across the map to look for an opening to fight. And having the high and dry on the Grok really allows him to make an impact in the early game of any core who is caught alone in the jungle or any support that's caught rotating in between, and it stopped any pushes, any potential ganks from them. And if anything, this might just be a new thing that we might see moving forward. Like we might see a couple more tanks resurfacing with not their usual tank emblems.
Yeah. Actually, yun ang gusto ko eh. I actually like this evolution of the metagame where it's small tweaks and hindi siya yung baliwan na parang from out of nowhere, ay tank na pala to. It's more of just like old ideas in a new environment. And essentially, that's what this patch is. It's just an adjustment of little things. I'm talking about that bush. I'm talking about a few numbers. I'm talking about that little wonder na kilala naman na natin na may bago lang feature. So, I guess as we move on through the weekend, recalling what happened, lalabas palalo yung mga points na ito. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys are watching MPL Recall. Alam kong naghahanap kayo ng real talk ni Midnight. It's gonna be coming up, all right? Very, very soon. If you want to hear his thoughts, stay with us because coming up next, we're gonna be talking about day number 2. Diyan natin makikita ang unang showing ng World Champions, the welcoming of LPE, and of course, a whole lot more. Stay with us. You're watching MPL Recall. We'll be right back. Welcome back to MPL Recall. My name is Leo. Kasama natin dito si TDZ, Renmar the Reptar, and Nomad. We're going to be recalling day number 2. In this day of MPL Season 7, naganap ang bakbakan between, let's see, day number 2, Next Play versus LPE, and of course, Bren versus Onyx. Real quick, let's jump into the hotness. We're going to be talking about here the new team on the block. Well, technically returning LPE, and they fought tooth and nail dahil medyo yung sitwasyon nila not ideal. If you know what I'm saying, guys, dalawa lang sa bootcamp nila via video call. Tar, you casted this game, right?
Yeah. I casted it with Rockheart, and LP versus NXT was a fun series to watch. Umabot siya ng 3 games, and we saw the best of both worlds for both teams. We saw the best of LPE, how good they are. If you give them control, if they have the right draft, kasi yung game 1 medyo tagilid yung draft nila And then we also saw the best of NXP, how they look like. If you give them an opportunity to run over you, they will run over you and make it look easy. That's what happened in game number 1. But then we also saw the weaknesses from both of these two teams.
Yeah. And again, I love hearing you guys do your work. And of course, in the Tagalog stream as well, nag-enjoy din sila doon. I can tell for sure. Any game that's the best games, na 3 games, is fun. TDZ, ikaw, I'm sure you have your thoughts as well. This is a great start for a team like LPE, no?
Yeah, I completely agree. Nakita mo natin yung drafting all throughout ng LPE, and also with the technicalities coming from Coach Panda. Well, we were talking about Coach Panda ever since, pero alam natin kung ano yung caliber ng pag-coach siya dito. Tingin ko, well, with the current draft, with the current yung tao, yung mga players na bumubuo ng LPE, si Aspect ang isang player na kailangan nating tignan palagi. Kumbaga, they had the opportunity sa time ng NXP, pati sa LPE. Yung first game, really in favors of NXP when it comes to drafting. Pero nung game 2, naiwanan nila si Aspect, hindi nila gaano na-check. Ang lagi nilang inaayos si Jake the Dog. So, maganda yung balance ng course dito sa side ng LPE, and I think that's one of the strengths ng LPE. Ang hirap mong basahin kung sino nga ba yung mag-snowball bigla, kung sino nga ba din talagang lalakas, and it's a big struggle para sa side ng NXP. Sino bang uunahin natin, ano bang kailangan gawin dito? So, nakapag-adjust din agad yung LPE doon.
Yeah, makes me wonder now if LPE really is the team to watch this time around. Prior to day 1, ang dami nagsasabi na parang LPE is under the radar. Pero sa totoo lang, are they the strongest team? That's are they one of the stronger teams in the MPL right now? That's a question on everyone's minds. Nomad, while those highlights were playing, napansin ko lang, man, that was a very tiring day. Dalawang best of 3 na nag-3 games pala yun. So, again, kudos to the broadcasters, kudos to the players. Walking away from this, how do you think this affects LPE, like going into the rest of the season?
Well, if for the next matches that they're gonna go back into is, ideal situations na sila, I feel like we can see a better LPE. Kasi we've seen time and time and again na online, magkakalay mga tao, there will be delays in comms, hindi nyo masyadong ma-feeling yung synergy nyo. It's a different LPE. It's not the LPE that we want to see, kind of like what we saw during the qualifiers. And moving forward, if yung 2 members nila is, nakabalik na dun sa bootcamp nila, we might see the number 1 team. We might.
Yeah, cross fingers.
That's a big
diba?
one.
Baka hindi na yung question mark, baka exclamation point na yan. Actually, hindi, wait lang. Week 2 or 3, if they keep winning, maybe it'll be a period. Tapos, kapag talagang week 4 or 5 later on, talagang nambabalagbag na sila, exclamation point na yan. LPE, number 1 team. Looking forward to that actually happening. Because again, they're relatively an underdog team going into the season. So I love it when predictions and what we think initially, impressions go out the window. While the highlights were playing, we also saw the second series of the day, and that is Onyx Esports versus Bren Esports. Another 3-game series, and there we saw a realization. Maybe the world champions took it a little too easy. Maybe, just maybe. And another is, the future is here. Napaka-lakas ng batang to, si Kyrie. Alright? Also known as Full Clip from Season 6, making his debut with Blacklist International. He had amazing numbers all throughout the weekend. Let's dub this one the Kyrie Flex. Reptar, your thoughts?
Oh, Onyx, man. This is nung game 1. At first, I was worried for Onyx because you could really see the in terms of how they move, the hesitation, yung kaba. Wolf and I were talking about it backstage na we both nakikita mo yung kaba sa galaw ng Onyx. And people might disagree with me here, pero I feel like the best version of Bren na nakita natin this weekend was in that game 1, and you can even argue game 2 against Mpl Ph. Going up against NXP, they look like a completely different team. But yeah, at the start, Bren looked really good in game number 1. It seems like, okay, Bren of old, they knew how to take control of the map. But then, Onyx, once natanggal nila yung kabado nila, man, you could really see the potential. And bakit sinasabi natin sa team for Onyx, na paper, they have the highest potential. If they are firing from all cylinders, they can take it to the world champions. And other than Kyrie being really great, who by the way played in the mid, and si Hate yung naglaro sa jungle as a carry, Hate is shining with this system right now. I mean, no offense to Execration, no offense to Hate before, pero minsan nga talaga, katulad lang ni Cortezi, katulad ni Flap, sometimes you just need the right team, the right group of people with you para mag-shine ka. And Hate in this system shines with Onyx.
Yeah, and you can't rush greatness. I think it was very fortunate for Onyx that they had an off season to figure out this formula, and so far it's paying off. So far, Kyrie's getting good numbers. Hate is slowly going back into his role from when he was with Execration. So yeah, na-mention mo na, Reptar. So let's jump in on that. The point wherein, on paper, this is the best Onyx Esports we've ever seen in a while, bar none. Okay, they've got young guns, they've got mechanically gifted, talented individuals, and then they have the guidance of Jay. And of course, they have their awesome coaching staff and management. Shoutouts to Boss Louie, Boss Raf, and of course, kilala nyo na yun, si 8G, tsaka si paring Rio, Gushon Lords, Lodi Cakes. TDC, ba't nga ba natin nasasabi na the strongest lineup on paper ito? And do you agree with that?
Yeah, I completely agree. Iba talaga ang Onyx PH ngayon. Sa akin para sa akin, nung pinapanood ko yung larong Onyx versus Bren, ang unang iniisip ko, kaya ba nila na queenless ang Onyx? Kung sino nga ba talaga magiging main captain dito ng Onyx. But after seeing game 2, after being defeated by Bren with a very spectacular game para sa Bren side, nakita natin yung recovery. Nakita natin yung, I completely agree sa sabi ni Renmar kanina, nawala yung kaba ng Onyx dito. Talagang nag-reset sila ng mindset. Okay, kaya natin to. We've been doing this for a while. Nagkapano natin yung isa't isa at nakita natin na explosive talaga yung performance dito ng Onyx PH. Nakita natin yan before ever since. Pero ito pa yung time na nandun pa si B-Wise sa side ng Onyx. Pero ibang-iba na talaga ang Onyx ngayon. I can say that this is one of the teams that kailangan tingnan, kailangan i-focus ang
Yeah, no. Sorry for the slight pause there. Technical difficulties on our side. With standing. I'm gonna go back to Nomad here. Again, I think we'll put it on paper. Facts. Malakas ang lineup ng Onyx. But do you think this is something they can sustain for the rest of the season? Again, week 1 lang ito. And the fact is, muntik na sila matuo. Diba? But what can we learn from their performance here?
What we can learn from them is that they're strong. You guys have been pointing out time and time again that they're a strong lineup. This is the strongest Onyx Ph that we've seen. Pero I think this is also a statement na, let's keep it down. Let's try to keep adjusting ourselves because there's still a lot more to improve on as Onyx Ph. They have a strong lineup and everything else, but when it comes to the actual game, there are times where you feel like they're off, per se. And as I say that, it's all just because it's the first week. It's their first match, technically speaking.
Yeah.
So the nerves are still there.
Yeah.
At sabi nyo, natanggalin ka ba nila midway through the series? And I think consistency going into their next matches this coming week, that's where we would see the best Onyx Ph lineup, I feel.
Yeah, it feels like a textbook reverse sweep. Yun eh. Na parang halfway through the series, naramdaman na Onyx na, wait lang, ito na, let's go for the kill. And that might be one of the things that they need to work on. Again, TDZ, sorry, you cut off earlier on. Natapos mo ba yung point mo, man? You were saying that this Onyx looks great, especially the fact that they are queenless. That's what you were going on with earlier.
Yeah, nakikita ko dito yung the way how they have adjusted. Nakikita natin yung captain, the leadership from the Onyx team. And yeah, same point. Iba talaga, iba ang drafting dito and also the play style, ibang-iba. Kumbaga parang kung i-level up mo siya sa Onyx before, sa Onyx ngayon, ito malaking question mark pa yung Onyx eh. Ano pa yung kayang ibigay? Ano pa yung kaya pang ipakita sa atin ng brand new roster ng Onyx, which is really exciting kasi simula pa lang they're up against Bren for the first week, so ang laking jump ka agad nun, malaking expectations sa pinapakita ng, especially for the coaching staff ng Onyx because they're up against Bren, M2 World Champions, again champions from season 6, so pressure, once na nawala yung pressure, for sure para silang diesel na kapag nakawag-warm up sila, dire-diretso sila all throughout.
Pinapainit lang, no? Pinapainit
lang.
Hindi kailangan mag-change oil. Talagang papainitin mo lang. And that's all you need to allow Hate and Kyrie and the rest of Onyx to really get going. I'll have to agree with you, man. Thank you so much, TDZ, Nomad and Reptar, for your thoughts. Looking at the chat right now, saying what's up to John, Lloyd, to Ryan, to Hitoshi, Mosh, to Kian, and to Mark, Daniel as well, to all the people looking for midnight mamaya, dadating na rin yan. I hope that he's able to shed light on a few questions. No? Ang dami nagtatanong. Shout out as well to one of my favorite analysts and coaches in the game right now. What's up to Paolo Expert? Here's one. I hope midnight addresses this, all right? Before we go into a break. Magandang point of contention to. Maria Cristina says, isn't Aura the strongest team on paper? Let's let that simmer, all right? Napag-usapan natin kanina yung linabas nilang Grok and of course how they welcomed so lovingly Work Osterforce into MPL Season 7. We're gonna go on a quick break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching MPL Recall. Stay with us. At nagbabalik ang MPL Recall. My name is Leo. Kasama nandito si TDZ, Nomad, and Renmar the Reptar. We are on to day number 3. Let's look back at what happened in the very last day of the first week of Mpl Ph Season 7. First was a matchup between Aura PH and Blacklist International. Yan. Sana napag-isipan ninyo na during the break if Aura PH really is the strongest lineup on paper as they went up against the madman antics of Bonchan and the rest of BLCK. Yan, binasa ko pa. And of course, the second series of day number 3 is NXP versus Bren Esports. The headlines write themselves, ladies and gentlemen. Hindi na namin kailangan pang i-build up ang nangyari doon. This was a 2-game series. It was a sweep. And the world champions fell. Alright? Gods do bleed, sabi ng NXP. TDZ, man, let's talk about the first matchup here and let's jump into the hot topic. Do you agree? This is a draft battle, 2v1 handicap match. Bonchan versus Dale and Arcadia.
Man, kakaiba. I mean, iba kasi ang iba talaga ang utak ng mga coaches eh. Most of the time, nag-a-adjust sila kung ano yung play style, then mag-a-adjust ng onte kapag kung ano yung mga counters, kung ano yung mas effective na hero against the core. So, hindi mo talaga siya mapupull off yung complete 100% preparation for the coaches. But looking at the game here sa side ng ORPH, pati Blacklist International, yung first game, sobrang dito yung Tigreal pick because they lack, well, we do understand na kailangan nila ng magandang CC. They need to get that AoE CC para mahuli nila yung back end. Kaso ang problema, ang mga heroes dito ng ORPH is really mobile. So, Ison, namatay siya ilang beses, doon nakapag-snowball dun si Greed using his Kagura. And talagang mahirap ng pigilan yung first game na to. Pero pag-adjust nila ng second game, that Popol and Koopa, and also the Atlas plus the Harith. Nung una, medyo questionable ako dun kung effective ba, kung enough ba yung damage dito ng Atlas pati Harith. Early game, nakikita natin yung impact, pero nung nagkaroon na ng items dito si Harith, and also getting those Atlas na pang-secure sa mga turtle areas o sa mga objective, dun nag-shine yung current composition dito ng Blacklist International. And also yung performance ni Oh My Venus sa Popol and Koopa. Laging sakto, nahuhuli nila lagi si Claude, yung mga core hero. Give them a lot of opportunity to catch up.
Yeah, actually, again, the fact that heroes like Atlas and Popol and Koopa in the same lineup are showing up, it really shows how there's no holds barred when it comes to a matchup like this. I have to correct myself. On my TikTok, I answered a question about Kufra and Atlas, and I totally forgot. I totally forgot na nag-Atlas pala dito si Uncle Eson in game number 2 of this 3-game series. I gotta ask you, Reptar, you're a fan. Like, I know you're one of those people who, when you see crazy things like this show up, talaga magre-react ka. What were your thoughts when you saw this happening?
Nung game number 2, when the Popol and Koopa and Atlas were picked up by Blacklist, I told myself, actually I was on call with sabi ko, uy babe, panalo Blacklist dito I maybe it's because of my tendency to really go for drafts that look very different, but with that lineup kasi you have so much control in the sense that ORPH have the more yung lineup nila mas reflective sa current meta natin, whereas Blacklist was a little bit more ano yan. But then because of the tools that you have on that side for Blacklist, yung Zaman Force ni Harith, you have the bite and the traps which really annoyed the hell out of the Claude sa Aura PH every time. On point yung mga kagat ni Popol and Koopa, and of course, Oh My Venus who used that, and then Eson with just using the Fatal Links. Parang every time Aura PH wanted to get the ball rolling with something, gusto nila mag-set up ng play, gusto nila gumawa ng ganitong approach into a team fight or in a skirmish, or had everything ready para hindi makahanap ng momentum yung Blacklist had everything ready para hindi ng momentum yung Aura. And draft battles, we usually look into it as ano yung pinik ng dalawang teams, but just to understand how much respect these two teams have with each other, Blacklist always banned Selena and Natalia Meanwhile, Aura always banned Biggie and Estes, which is the two picks na pagkalaban mo ang blacklist, wag mo ibigay kay Oh My Venus. And of course, a team like Aura, ayaw mo magbigay ng Selena and Natalia that really gives them a lot of map control and vision. So, yeah, it just goes to show how well these two teams know and respect each other in terms of the favored picks.
Yeah, I really like how, with all of this mentioned, hindi mo pa binabanggit yung YSS, which was the perfect pick. Like, this wouldn't work without the YSS, I think. It's super important na meron kang parang grounded pick. Kasi sa totoo lang, sobrang baliwan ng Popolin Kupa, Atlas, into Harith. Like, to get those three things working. And of course, you have the Pakito doing Pakito things. Talagang yung YSS talaga ni Wise ang naisip kong parang, that's good. If that was a carry, it would have been super weird. If it was, any other marksman, it would have been super weird. So, agreed. This matchup or this series lived up to the hype. But speaking of hype, I want to move on to series number 2 here, and this is a matchup that I don't know. It showed us na yung mga ingay sa social media ng team na tulad ng NXP and even Brenny Sports, like they both know that there's hype. They both know that there's so much riding on this matchup. Nomad, nadala ka ba doon? Nadala ka ba bago pa nagsimula yung laban na parang naisip mo, oh, it's about to go down?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's fan favorite versus fan favorite time and again. And kasi masasabi ko dito, NXP and Bren, they have the most, I wouldn't say rabid, pero yung talagang diehard fans talaga sa buong MPL. And the hype was really there. And watching game number 1, I thought for sure na baka nanggigilang yung Bren Esports. Going into game number 2, it was, wait lang, this isn't the Bren Esports that we're used to. And I don't know if I can attribute that to them being, gigil sila matalo yung NXP, or it's NXP really just stepping up the plate from season 6.
Yeah, I think one other note here is to highlight the fact that Roger has a negative win rate in the MPL right now. Na parang watching all the other MPLs and seeing what our, sabihin natin, tastemakers, di ba? What people who sway ML opinion say about Roger, parang wala naman this week wala naman na-counter nga siya di ba? Tumirik TDZ, what are your thoughts on Roger as a whole?
Man, sa akin kasi Roger, okay siya yung mga previous patches, di ba? Sobrang bilis ng or almost laging uptime yung mga purple buff, yung mga orange buffs. So para kay Roger kasi yung power spike niya, he's heavily relying on those buffs. So within that 15 seconds na dead time na wala kang buff, mapupull out, mas tumatagal yung power spike mo. So if you're playing Roger, you need to make sure na lagi kang merong purple, lagi kang merong orange, and also giving the Litho Wanderer. Kasi meron ng bago sa Litho Wanderer nga, bukod sa movement speed, meron na siyang mana regeneration na binibigay. Which, yun yung kulang. Yun yung isa sa mga struggle being as a Roger player, lagi ka nauubusan, lagi kang kailangan mong umuwi muna, you need to refill your mana or rather go to the jungle. Pero ang ginawa doon ng NXP, at tingin ko kung bakit na na-counter yung Roger, at isa rin sa mga reason kung bakit ang baba ng win rate ng Roger ngayon is yung jungle control. Ang laking impact na ng jungle control ngayon, especially for dispatch, pinataas yung mga experience na makukuha mo if you're playing the jungle role, at highly contested. Nakikita natin to every single game na 1-3-1 ang matchup na laging lumalabas, ang laning matchup. Why? Kasi after clearing the first wave, instead of going to the purple buff, kung sakaling pwedeng isolo yung turtle buff, laging pinafollow up yung Litho Wanderer. So, with that NXP against Bren, first game, nakikita natin dito yung control ng NXP all throughout the jungle area of Bren, and also given the fact na meron silang backshot. So, si James Z dito every single time, lagi niya nakokontrol, lagi niyang meron siyang information kung nasan si Roger at kung paano sila gagalaw, and prioritization NXP is really on point.
Yeah, let me just put a period or help out that explanation. Dagdagan ako ng konti. Feeling ko, man, kaya nasagot na NXP yun is because alam nila paano gamitin Gets din nila
Oo.
Di ba? So from their point of view, like, ito gawin mo to para sabihin nating man-neutralize or as they would say in the streets, mabaog yung Roger. Di ba? Mahirapan siyang mag-scale. Kasi ganun yun Roger's a really snowball type of hero. So if you're able to stop him early, you could walk away with a 2-0 even against world champions. Which now, I can't believe that came out of my mouth still today, no? Na sinabi kong not 2-0 ang world champions. Reptar, it is on the internet now. We all got emotional when Bren Sports won the world championships. Not more than 2 months, actually 2 months to the day, man. 2 months to the day nung napanalo nila yung M2 World Championships. Did we expect anything like this? Na matutuo sila ng NXP?
Well, of course not. But then at the same time, feeling ko nasa likod yun ng utak natin eh. Na and we were not just us, but like anyone who watched Bren Esports win the World Championship going into the Season 7, deep down, tinatanong natin, what happens if Bren Esports nagkulang sila early on in the season? For us, we acknowledge the possibility rin na nag-huddle tayo before the season starts, and that's what we saw. And I don't want to frame it so much as, Bren ko lang sa practice. Yes, Bren, admittedly, si Ribo nga mismo nag-admit on his socials and then other members of his team, hindi lang to galing sa amin, na Bren are behind. Bren are behind in terms of rotation. Kita mo naman in terms of their decision making na there are some certain may kulang sila eh. And I think weirdly enough, the thing lacking with them is discipline. I don't think that's just because kalaban nila NXP, but balikan mo nila yung game nila this week, and this just does not feel like the same Bren in terms of the really sharp rotations. Every second, every minute, play after play, wala yun. There are moments na nagtataka ka na lang ano ginagawa ng Bren. What is Bren trying to build up to? We're seeing a more reactive Bren. We're seeing a more responsive Bren. Not necessarily the Bren Esports na alam natin na we're gonna take control from 30 seconds in. We know what we're gonna do for the next 2 minutes. And it's very obvious in how they move, and everyone, ito yung the thing that I'm impressed about kung minsan nag-mute ka ng comment section kasi toxic, if you guys look into comment section of all the streams, even people noticed it there. Something's off with Bren. Parang mabagal Bren isn't as snappy, and sad to say, that's the facts. That's what we saw, and that's what's happening.
Yep, and one way to put it is they're falling off. Bren is falling off. Nomad, what does Bren have to do at this point to recover?
Just practice. Just get back to their groove. I mean, get away from the honeymoon period that, hey, we're the world champions. Don't let it get into their heads. Because at any point in time, there might be an M3 coming down the line. They may not be the world champions anymore. Don't relish the fact that they are world champions, pero focus on the present. Focus on the now. This week, yung first game nila against Onyx, I wouldn't say that was the Bren that we're looking for. Pero going into game number 2, where it was a bit more serious, wala masyadong experimentation na nangyari nun, that wasn't the Brenda we were really expecting, and they clearly lost 2-0. I want them to just get back into the game. Just focus on the now.
Yeah, I agree. Again, just grind, hustle like you're not world champions. Like, regain, earn that title every day. I agree, man. Pero merong bringing up dito ang isa nating kaibigan sa chat. And I think this also is an important point. No, I think this is something we can all ask ourselves, and something that we can ponder on. Maybe even Bren should think about this as well. Mababa ba ang hero pool nila? Maliit ba? Is it very predictable? I don't know. We're about to find out in the next couple of weeks here in the Mpl Ph Season 7. But for now, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back here on Mpl Recall, we're going to keep it real. You're going to be hearing from, well, kailan nyo naman, hinahanap nyo na, si Midnight. Alright, stay with us. You're watching Mpl Recall. We're going to go a quick break. TDZ, para namang hindi tayo nag-usap. Ano ba yan, Lods? Welcome back to MPL Recall. My name is Leo, joined here by TDZ, Renmar the Reptar, and Nomad. It's time for us to go ahead and hear from Midnight. He's going to go 5 minutes unfiltered, answering your questions and, of course, processing his thoughts about the weekend that unfolded. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from Midnight. Real talkan na.
What's up? What's up, mga Lods? Rinig ba ako, Lods?
Oh man, malinaw.
Sige, malinaw. Bakit may Midnight, may you, ano yung si Renmar?
Ewan ko, man.
Gaya na si Ren.
Basta hinaharap ka ng maraming tao dong. Simulan mo na, man. Feeling ko simulan mo na.
Okay. Guys, gusto niyo ng real talk? Feeling ko alam niya na tong papatama. Well, di na mapapatamaan, pero more of a wake-up call. So, 5 minutes, timer. Direct, feeling ko, dapat 5 minutes lang, baka dumami haters ko eh. Sige, game. 5 minutes, direct. I-G mo na yan, dali. Start mo na yung countdown.
Go.
Okay. First of all, Bren Esports. Ayan, mainit ang real talk natin. Bren Esports, they deserve that loss that they suffered no weekend. To be honest, they deserve that. Alam mo, tawag sa ngayon, sa Bren ngayon, they are the new NXP. Ito, actually topic ng mga casters to, no? Na parang, ang bad boys ngayon is Bren Esports. Kasi nung season 6, NXP yung maingay sa social media. Daming kuda, daming hanash. Yun, Bren. Okay, Bren. Ang dami nilang pinopost. 'Di ba? Yung mga mga content nila more on payabang. No? I get it. You're the world champions. You have the right naman. You have the right to brag and you have the right to you have the right to be where you are at. Pero sabi nga nila, heavy is the head that wears the crown, no? Ikaw yung world champions. Yung Bren Esports kasi dito nag-relax, nag-honeymoon, no? Nagpunta ng mga beach. Tapos nagsimula ng practice, I believe, 2 weeks prior to MPL, when some teams have been practicing for months bago mag-start yung MPL. For teams like, such as LPE, Work Oster Force, yan yung mga bagong salta, ang tagal na nagpa-practice yan. With Bren Esports, sige, fine. Nagpahinga kayo, kayo yung champion, may right naman kayo na magpahinga. Pero, if you really want to keep up with your performance with MPL, you need to practice. And sa totoo lang kasi, ang feeling ko naging mindset ng Bren dito, no, na parang pwede na tayo mag-relax, world champion kayo. Yun na nga world champion kayo Papasok kayo sa MPL, dala nyo yung status na yun. At ang first showing nyo is 0-2 against Onyx and NXP. Onyx has been underperforming for quite some time now. Pwede natin sabihin na, okay, sige, fine. Lumakas yung Onyx against series nila nung Bren Esports. Tama, ng Bren Esports. LPE, New Kids in Town, defeated NXP 2-1. Tapos ito 2-0 kayo ng NXP. 'Di ba? Parang saan napunta yung champion, yung status nyo na world champion. And ito coming from me, ayoko kasi nakikita na nangyayari to sa M2 representatives natin, no. Kung ano yung naging problema ni Omega, yun din problema ni Bren ngayon, technicalities. Kulang sa batak ang Bren Esports. Ang daming instance dun sa series na yon. For example, Carl TZ blindly going inside the bush against a freaking Jawhead. 'Di ba? Saan napunta yung World Championship caliber mechanics and technicalities? So, dito natin mararamdaman na kulang sa batak ng Bren Esports. And to be fair, sige fine, di kayo nag-practice or nag-experiment kayo or whatnot. But Bren Esports, you went into MPL Season 7 carrying the World Status Championship at hindi kayo nag-practice. That's not an excuse. 'Di ba? If you feel like you're still on the relaxing period, no? Let EJ play. Yan, sige, palarin natin si EJ para masabi natin na nagre-relax pa yung Bren, hindi pa sila MPL mode. Pero that's the thing, MPL na. And you went into this mode na ang yabang niyo sa social media. Si Rene J, binabanatan niyo yung ilong. Si Kyrie nananahimik, binanatan ni Cartesi. May right sila. Again, may right sila to call out these comments. Pero you need to show it. You need to display the performance. And sadly, ang nangyari kasi is let's be transparent and let's be honest. Binasura sila ng NXP nung game 2. 'Di ba? It felt like NXP was playing crank capes. Tama 'yung sinabi ni Doggy, 'di ba? I'm not saying na kampe ako kay Doggy, pero parang RG yung nangyari, 'di ba? +5 points. Plus 5 bigla si NXP. Again, this is because of the lack of technicalities and yung kulang sa pagbabatak ni Bren. So if you really want to if you really want to show it on in the social media, show it in your game din as well. Kasi again, ang sabi ko nga, kung ano yung NXP nung season 6, yun yung Bren ngayong season 7. Actually, the good guys this season is NXP. The bad guys or the villain is now Bren Esports. Kumbaga nag-ano na tayo, nag-full circle na tayo, nabaliktad, nag-flip ng table. Sabi ni Doggy, ginanon yung table eh. And Bren Esports, ang masasabi ko lang is either do these two things. Either magpakabait kayo, start practicing, come back to that old Bren na gusto niya lang pabagsakin yung NXP kasi ang yayabang nila, or mas maging better NXP kayo. Tuloy niyo yung yabang nyo, pero pakita nyo sa laro nyo. Kasi as it stands right now, NXP is the better team. And it looks like Bren is one of the weakest team in the league. Yun yung masasabi ko. Real talk lang. 17 seconds!
Oh, may tira pa. Okay, well, I did not expect Midnight that you would, how do you say, I'm choosing my words very specifically. I didn't think that you would spend your full 5 minutes addressing Bren Esports. Kala ko may hati yun eh. Kala ko may iba pang team na pag-uusapan.
Pwede naman natin hatiin. Pwede natin hatiin. Pero ang kasi is, Bren Esports, sila yung headliner ng weekend din. Hindi naman ako galit. Pero yung mga sinasabi natin na pwede kasi nating i-frame na nag-experiment lang or baka talaga hanapon. Pero that's not an excuse. Dala mo yung status mo na world champion, tapos papasok ka sa MPL, 2-0 ka ng NXP, di ba? So this is a wake-up call, no? This is not me saying na Bren, ang hina nyo or This is me saying, Bren, kung gusto nyo ma-maintain at ma-sustain kung ano man yung character nyo social media at kung ano man yung character ng mga players nyo, perform, di ba? Hindi pwedeng social media lang. Dapat nasa laro din kayo. Kasi, again, as it stands right now, you're NXP 2.0.
Oh. Time. All right, time. All right. Let the man breathe. Let the man breathe. Time. Okay? Ang daming tanong, ang daming reactions, but I think one that we will address for the sake of discussion, no, is Midnight. I hope you can help us out here. May nagtatanong.
Sure.
And I think this is very, very real right now. No, interesting yung tanong niya eh. Sabi niya, guys, Exhort and James is the key na ba? Sabi ni Nadara Himura. Exhort and James is the key. Do you think they're very important in their success against Bren? Or how
I feel like
are they?
Si Exhort, oo. James is, for me, si James kasi standard addition siya sa isang team. Hindi siya yung key player na hinahanap natin for NXP kasi nandyan si Yawi, nandyan si Exhort. Yung mga players na nag-stand out talaga. James was more of a pillar for NXP kasi meron kang 5 players on the roster and NXP nung last season parang dalawa lang players nila, no? Parang si Yawi tsaka si H2 lang. Kasi you had Red J choking a lot of times. You had MB and Chester na parang nag-evolve yung Digi strat, no? Naging Digi din sila. And this time around, sa yung bagong season ng NXP, standard roster, okay? Standard roster. Si Lancy, stable naman. Si Exhort just shows the experience na meron tong taong to kasi alam niya kung ano yung mga dapat gawin sa isang game. But don't get me wrong, Lancy is a skilled player, pero Exhort kasi, makikita mo yung experience eh. Lumalabas dito na may veterancy si Exhort. Alam niya kung ano yung ginagawa niya during the game. So I feel like Exhort, yes, he's more of a standard and a key player for NXP. James was just a really standard addition to the lineup of NXP.
Okay, alright. So may mga tao talaga tulad ni Exhort, no, na parang kahit anong gawin mo, season in, season out na MPL, magiging involved. And right now, sobrang ganda na pinakita niya using his Eve against Bren. Guys, if you enjoyed Real Talk and you enjoyed the rest of MPL Recall, please do like and follow Covenry. And of course, follow us on our social media as well. That's MDNYT97 for Midnight, Mpl Ph, TDZcast, Masarepi, and Nomad Casts. Again, maraming salamat sa pagnood at pagsubaybay dito sa MPL Recall as we look back at the first weekend of the MPL. Week 2 coming up, and as much as we'd like to predict, may natutunan ako, guys. Ewan ko lang kayo na na-realize nyo na rin to. Medyo walang kwenta mag-predict sa season na to. Kasi kahit ano pwede mangyari.
Actually, eto Leo, gusto ko lang sabihin nung match, nung day 3, bago mag-start yung bago mag-start yung MPL, sabi ko kay Wolf, gusto ko ma 2-0 na Eric's Fubred.
Gusto. Diba? Gusto. Pero in your mind, you're gonna predict something else. Diba?
Oo.
If you're gonna listen to logic and reason. But again, given that, nangyari yung gusto eh. Nangyari yung mga what if natin. So,
Yep.
I don't know. This coming week in the MPL, guys, panoorin nyo na lang, okay? Watch the English stream, watch the Filipino stream, and all the other, how do we say, accredited or approved ni Munton na streams, alright? Maraming content si MPL ngayong Season 7. But with that being said, on behalf of TDZ, Nomad, Renmar the Reptar, follow him on IG and TikTok as well, Esports Reptar, and of course, Midnight. Kung gusto nyo pa ng Real Talk, panoorin nyo, nag-analysis si Midnight during the MPL broadcasts. My name is Leo. This right here is MPL Recall. We'll see you guys this weekend. Peace.